Hello and welcome to Mayhem with Markham. So it's been a little bit since I've recorded any videos. I had a lot of videos up and in processing with YouTube. I still have a few left to process. I went and visited my son this past weekend, and I came back home and went to put a video together last night. I got it all together, got it all compiled, and then went to upload it to YouTube last night, and left it, went to bed, thinking, okay, yeah, it's gonna process just fine, no problem, as all the other ones had. I got up this morning, went to check on it, and the computer was off. Well, that's kind of weird. I had a few things planned for today. I was gonna go and I have an old iPhone. I was gonna get that replaced. Because it's rather old and it's starting to kind of glitch out and have some issues. I'm not having too good a luck with electronic components here. Well, then I said, well, I'm going to try to redo the video and get it uploaded again. So I did that, and then in the process of doing that, I was also backing up my phone so that I would be ready as soon as I got a new phone to go ahead and transfer to all my old stuff to the new phone. Well, I went and I made me a gallon of tea this morning, and I came back up and the computer was off. So I'm like, son of a gun, it's about time. So I used my computer for a lot of different things. I built it probably 10 or 11 years ago. About the same time that my son built his computer. We pretty much built matching systems. Well, he's since upgraded a bit, I built my computer systems to future-proof, hopefully, as much as possible. So they're kind of expensive, but they last a long time, which this one has lasted a really long time. But it's just time to replace some components in it. So that's what today's video is going to be about. I went through, and right now is not a good time to do this. I'm just going to go ahead and let you know right now. Not a good time to do this. And I was fortunate enough to be able to find some decent parts. They're not all exactly what I wanted, but they are decent parts, and I'll be able to utilize them for a decent build that'll be future-proofed to a certain point. So anyway, come along with me while I show you the setup and what I've done to prepare, and then we'll go and we'll look at the parts, and then we'll break the whole thing down, clean it up, put the new parts in, and we'll be off to the races hopefully. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, so what I've done to get started, I've got my old computer. It's the old computer system. It's still running, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to transfer my Windows license from this machine to basically it's the new machine. Basically what I'm replacing is the hard drive, the motherboard, the processor, and some RAM, which that's enough of a hardware change to kind of throw Windows into, oh no, you've got a new computer realm. All of the licenses are stored up in the cloud now. If you were to buy a machine, it might come with a sticker with a license key on it, like in the old days. But since Windows 10, they've gone to having everything in the cloud. So what I did first was I went and did some research to find out if I had the license key, and then I have an email account with them. So that's all taken care of. Then the next thing that I wanted to do was create a USB device that has the Windows operating system on it. So this has it on there, and it will allow me to load up the operating system. So that's all good. It's here. Here's all the files that it needs, and then I'll be able to just plug this back into the machine, and then we'll be off to loading up. But for now, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and shut this puppy down for the final time. Now, as far as losing the files that are on this computer, I'm not going to. I have a 3 terabyte hard drive that's in this machine right now. Now, it's an old style rotary, hard drive, but it's a 3 terabyte. It's got lots of information on it. So I'm going to utilize that as sort of a storage drive. And then I've got a 1 terabyte drive, which is kind of cool. I think you guys will like it. But I'll use the 3 terabyte drive as a storage drive, and I'll also be able to take like my video files. So whenever I'm doing videos like this, I take all of the video files, download them, and I put them in a specific folder. All of my working files, all of that stuff that I'm working on, it goes into that folder. Okay, so that'll make it really easy. So as soon as I get the computer fired up, I'll grab that folder, drag it over to the SSD, and then we'll have quick access to all of the working files. That way, my thought is that when I go to process videos, it will have faster access, and it'll process it faster and be better all the way around. Okay, so I'm not worried about losing stuff on here. And if I really need to, I could probably just hook up the hard drive again as a primary and pull up something if I just can't find it. So here we go. Shutting down. All right. So in the next video, I'll go through. I got to set my table up and get all ready to work. Okay. So. All right. So I'm going to show you some of my stuff that I've got going on here. So this is my computer as you guys have seen it running. Let's see if we can get a decent view of it here. Alrighty. So it's an aluminum case. It's got a bunch of fans on it. There's one fan here on the door. Notice it's relatively clean. I mean, there's some dirty parts of it, but it's relatively clean. I try to make sure that it stays clean. This area here is for optical drives. Okay, this area here is for regular hard drives. Here you can see the regular hard drive here. This big, huge thing right here, that's my video card. I believe it's a 2 gig video card. It's a GTS 250. It's kind of an older card, but it's still a really good card. Here's a power supply. Now this is a modular power supply. I replaced this sometime last year whenever my power supply just kind of went belly up. And then if you look here, you can see here's the processor with big, huge cooler thing on it. And then here you can see here's the RAM that's currently in there. Now this is a micro ATX motherboard. That means it's small. Okay, I'm hoping that the one that I got is a full-size ATX board. It means that you can just put more stuff on it. You can have more slots. So you can see kind of what that looks like here. So what we're going to do, let's show you kind of some of the parts that I got. Okay, so here is the motherboard. Move you around here so you can see. So here's the motherboard. It's a gaming motherboard. It's got the AMD socket. So I prefer AMD chips whenever I'm building computers. Pretty much, I've only built one Intel computer in my entire time of building computers. I've built, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 machines. I used to do this whenever I was living in Georgia. This is a gaming board. I'm not necessarily going to be doing gaming with it, although it's kind of nice to have that option. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing it with this graphics card. I'll have to update this graphics card a little bit later. But this will help a lot with heat management, and it also has some features on it, which we'll go into a little bit later once we crack into it, that will help longevity-wise and performance-wise. Okay, so to go along with the motherboard, I've got the processor. So here you can see the processor through the little window here. This is a Ryzen 7. So this is It's an AM4, so it fits on the socket's AM4, so it fits right here on the motherboard. I believe that it is a here it says. It is a 3.6 gigahertz base processor. It's a 4.4 gigahertz max boost. Basically, it's an 8-core processor. I think the one that I have in here is maybe a 4-core, but this is a much faster processor, and it also comes with a cooler, which is nice. And then the other two components that I got here, I've got some RAM here. So I've got a 16 gig. This motherboard has four channels or 4 slots for RAM. I'm going to reuse the RAM that I already have in the machine, and I'm going to add this in. This is DDR4 RAM at 3200 megahertz. That's the speed. Okay. I'm not sure. I think I've got DDR3 in there now. So I'll put this on the primary. It'll be closer to the processor because it's faster. And then I'll put the other chips in on the secondary, just for any sort of overrun that's needed. And then I got this little jewel. This is a hard drive. Now it is much different than like the big drives, and it's 1 terabyte. This is the M.2, and it actually just plugs straight into the motherboard, which is kind of cool. Puts it on board on the motherboard without it having to do any sort of data transfer. There's a slight data transfer, but it's much quicker. It's probably 10 times faster than the way that I'm doing it here. So if you're still traveling through cables, if your data's traveling through cables, you could use an SSD drive. An SSD drive is going to have a quicker access rate. This is an SSD, but it's on board. It's going to have a super fast access rate because it's right on the motherboard. Okay, so there we go. Those are all the parts. Not cheap. Let's see here. Let me get this so I can turn. And this thing has gotten all locked in. Okay, so it's not cheap. Okay, but what I have to do with this computer is pretty intensive, and I need to make sure that I've got the hardware to support it. So anyway, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to start tearing it apart. Now, one of the things that you want to be aware of, and you'll see me do whenever I'm working on something, is I keep my hands on the case. That way I'm grounded on the case. So I'm not sure how that looks to you. Right. So I'm just going to go ahead and start unplugging some stuff here. I'm going to trim some zip ties off. Basically, I'm just going to rip out most of the stuff that's in here. So pardon I've got a cord here. It's going to be kind of hanging around. That's my microphone, so that I can have some better audio quality. And then you can sort of see the tripod legs here that I've got set up. All right, so let's go ahead and start undoing some of this stuff. This sled will come out. There's a couple of screws here that we'll take out, and it will allow us to get the motherboard sled out of here. Now, most cases don't have this whole modular assembly. This case I got, a few years ago, quite a few years ago actually, and it was not high dollar, but it was pretty expensive. But it's modular, so I'm able to I'll pull all this stuff over here off to the side. I'll put it there. Now I can take this, slide it. Now, once we get all of our wiring out of the way, slide this through here temporarily. This comes out just like that. Okay. So I'll set this guy off to the side here. We're just going to take this thing off as a unit once we get the RAM out. So we'll pop the RAM out. Okay, so now this whole thing will come off with the back plane. As I'm going to go through and just wipe this down and clean it up some. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and we will pull out the new motherboard, open it up, and see what we're dealing with here. And here's the user guide. Now this is going to be really handy when it comes down to wiring the computer back up, wiring the case back up. We will keep this out for later reference. Go. Warranty void if removed. I guess I got to keep that on there then. Alrighty. So here you can see this is where the CPU will go. It'll go right there. The RAM will go here. My SSD is going to go in here. Graphics card will go here. And then we'll plug everything into all these headers here. So if that's the cooler, that's crazy. I think this is the cooler. That is crazy big. And here is the processor. So we'll take our processor here. This is our processor. We will look for the markings here. You can see the marking with the triangle. That's going to correspond there. Under here. Drops in. It's all the way down, and then we're going to lock this in. We'll put the heatsink on. Holy nuggets. I have never seen a cooler that big. It's been a long time since I've built a machine, and this thing is just massive. Okay. So, now this has compound on it here, and it rests against that cooler there. So let's see how this installs. place this down and hook the little hooks. Okay, now next thing that we'll do, we'll go ahead and do the ram. And we'll take our other ram sticks. And they don't fit. Okay, so that's the wrong type of RAM. I've just got 16 gig of RAM in there. That's what we'll have to run with for now. Okay, DDR3 RAM apparently won't fit in here. So, okay, that's fine. All right, now we'll turn this and we will get to our SSD, where the SSD goes. And then we will install this. It installs just like that. So we'll take this. Remove this little bit here. This is part of the heat sink. These are for LEDs, which I'm not really interested in. So apparently it's got lights in it that light up. That's a controller, so that's a LED controller there, and that's power for it. We're gonna not worry about that. I'm back. When I was younger, that would have been a thing, but right now it's not a concern of mine. All right, so we're gonna take this guy and plug it into the proper header. Okay. So this fan here, we'll plug in right here. Actually, let's go ahead and mount this thing to the back plane. Okay. So, look here. I'm going to try to kind of see where our pins line up. So I'm orienting it off of this pin here. So there's one there. So one there, okay. Now I've got one there, okay, and I got one there. So there. Now I need See, I know those 4 right there line up. Now I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That looks like. So let's take this off. Let's see what this looks like. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So we'll set this guy over here for now. These will pull out. Okay. I believe that they're going to go here in the M and A, M and A, M and A, M and A. This is going to go in the A. And then I'm going to need some more to go there, there, and there. All right, so I'm going to go and find my hardware box, and then we'll be right back. Hi, so I'm right in the middle of editing the video. Obviously, I got the computer back up and running, right? So, thanks for being patient with the video. It's a pretty long, drawn-out process. Lots of little pieces, lots of things going on to make the computer work. And then also, I got a new phone. So, while all this is maybe seems to be happening like all at once to the cyber universe, it's actually taken quite a bit of time to get things all done. I think I did the computer last week sometime. So anyway, but I wanted to break it up just a little bit and kind of give a break at the end of this video, because the rest of the video is getting all the wiring up, getting the motherboards seated right, and just kind of getting everything fired back up. So anyway, thanks for watching and have a great day.